Terrorism in the United Kingdom, according to the Home Office, poses a significant threat to the state. There have been various causes of terrorism in the UK. Before the 2000s, most attacks were linked to the Northern Ireland conflict. In the late 20th century, there were also attacks by Middle Eastern terrorist groups, most of which were linked to the Arab-Israeli conflict. Since 1970, there have been at least 3,395 terrorist-related deaths in the UK, the highest in Western Europe. The vast majority of the deaths were linked to the Northern Ireland conflict and happened in Northern Ireland. In mainland Great Britain, there were 430 terrorist-related deaths between 1971 and 2001. Of these, 125 deaths were linked to the Northern Ireland conflict, and 305 deaths were linked to other causes. Most of the latter deaths occurred in the Lockerbie bombing. Since 2001, there have been almost 100 terrorist-related deaths in Great Britain. 1,834 people were arrested in the UK from September 2001 to December 2009 in connection with terrorism, of which 422 were charged with terrorism-related offences and 237 were convicted. There have been many historically significant terrorist incidents within the United Kingdom, from the gunpowder plot of 1605 to the various attacks related to the Troubles of Northern Ireland. In recent history, the UK security services have focused on the threat posed by radical Islamic militant organisations within the UK, such as the cell responsible for the 7th of July 2005 London bombings. The British state has been accused of involvement in state terrorism in Northern Ireland. A restricted the 12th of June 2008 MI5 analysis of several hundred individuals known to be involved in or closely associated with violent extremist activity concludes that British Islamist terrorists are a diverse collection of individuals fitting no single demographic profile, nor do they all follow a typical pathway to violent extremism. Around half were born in the United Kingdom. The majority are British nationals and the remainder, with a few exceptions, are in the country legally. Most UK terrorists are male, but women are sometimes aware of their husbands, brothers or sons' activities, while the majority are in their early to mid-20s when they become radicalized. A small but not insignificant minority first become involved in violent extremism over the age of 30. Those over 30 are just as likely to have a wife and children as to be loners with no ties. MI5 says this challenges the idea that terrorists are young Muslim men driven by sexual frustration and lured to martyrdom by the promise of beautiful virgins waiting for them in paradise. Those involved in Islamist terrorism have educational achievement ranging from total lack of qualifications to degree-level education. However, they are almost all employed in low-grade jobs, far from being religious zealots. A large number of those involved in terrorism do not practice their faith regularly. Many lack religious literacy and could actually be regarded as religious novices. Very few have been brought up in strongly religious households, and there is a higher than average proportion of converts. Some are involved in drug taking, drinking alcohol and visiting prostitutes. The report claims a well-established religious identity actually protects against violent radicalization, while the influence of clerics in radicalizing Islamist terrorists has reduced in recent years. On the 29th of August 2014, the British government launched a raft of counter-terrorism measures as the terrorist threat level was raised to severe. Prime Minister David Cameron and Home Secretary Theresa May warned a terrorist attack was highly likely, following the coming to prominence of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. On the 22nd of May 2017, at least 22 were killed after a bombing occurred following a concert by Ariana Grande in the most deadly terrorist attack on British soil since 2005. After a Cobra meeting, UK Prime Minister Theresa May announced that the UK's terror threat level was being raised to critical, its highest level. By raising the threat level to critical, Operation Tempera was started, allowing 5,000 soldiers to replace armed police in protecting parts of the country. BBC's Frank Gardner said that the first deployment of troops is expected to be in the hundreds. There have been calls for the publication of a report into the finance of terrorism which the government said they left unpublished for security reasons. Tim Farron said, Theresa May should be ashamed of the way she has dragged her heels on this issue. First as Home Secretary and now as Prime Minister. No amount of trade with dodgy regimes such as Saudi Arabia is worth putting the safety of the British public at risk. And if May is serious about our security, she would publish the report in full. Immediately. From June 2016 to June 2017, 379 people in the UK had been arrested for terrorism-linked offences, with 123 of